Slight parental advisory on this one.
Is available now. Please welcome the Wizards.
Yo, the jokes are over. It's about to get real magical up in this bitch. I'll take it. I be that potion mixing spell, casting dragon, riding wizard. Got a 3-foot hat with a 6-foot beard, it's only getting bigger. Step up in my hand, and I'll shrink you down to size. All I need is the tail of a newt and some platypus eyes. I cast a spell to make them titties just bounce.
Bounce.
Only wizards can pronounce. Spells, give me my book, give me my cauldron and something to cook. I'm a crazy ass wizard, I ain't gonna die. Trust me on that. Give me a pride. Slow it down just for a minute. Wizards in the rap game, yeah, we gonna win it. Let's begin it. Everybody in the room stand and shout. We the magical fools, the wizards all up in the house. Wizards come to your door. Nothing to us, cause we the number one. Something wrong.
Then beg it wasn't. But now we coasting. Because mother freaking wizards never die. We gon' ride, we stay fly. There's no lie, we don't die. We get fly because mother freaking wizards never die. And that's a fact, Neil Patrick Harris. Gotta love them workaholics. Yeah, but I'm quite late on my latest Game Informer, but better late than never. Didn't really prepare for this one, so expect it to be too long, but hopefully next month I'll tighten it up though. Let's do it. The indie success story. Skipping it. Resident Evil 4. One Piece Odyssey. Okay, the real life Kamurocho is a section of Tokyo, Japan, where the Yakuza run rampant, cracking heads with baseball bats. They're notorious for Tsurukomi inns, where adult activities are facilitated. Now Asia's largest adult entertainment area, with thousands of nightclubs, love hotels, massage parlors, and cheap drinks. The Yakuza collect protection money from the businesses. There's territory disputes, all kind of crazy stuff going down in Kabukicho, and a lot of batting centers. Right. Then we got Castlevania times Dead Cells crossover DLC. Return to Castlevania is the largest expansion for Dead Cells. They've worked on 14 new weapons, 20 outfits, 3 bosses, 2 biomes, 12 remix songs, 51 classic Castlevania tracks, and a new storyline. And an unexpected development hurdle was the stairs. So Dead Cells is a flat game, but they figured it out to be able to make the dude climb those stairs that Castlevania is famous for. Alright, the PlayStation VR 2. Astrobot Reserve Mission was a hit on PlayStation VR 1, which seemed like a moderate success, but PlayStation 2 VR has only one long USB-C cable as opposed to the one's mini cables, and glasses friendly, soft comfy headset right there. And it has a dedicated button for pass-through camera, so you can see what's going on around you in the real world, real reality world, instead of virtual reality world. And the new Sense controllers are way better than the old PlayStation Move controllers. And the visuals are kind of blurry, which is just something you really can't avoid right now with VR technology because it's so close up to you. Overall, they give it a grade of C. It's still nausea-inducing with the muddy visuals, and it comes in at $549. Okay, then we have this Loop Deck Live S. This is something for content creators, like a board to control different things, but create custom pages Basically, like it runs your OBS for you, your Spotify, your Ableton Live. I guess for people who make instrumental beats too. Streamlabs, touch controls. They help your workflow. So could be something I may could even use. All right, then we got the Star Wars deck building game. I got 2 games of that up. I really should have did way more, but need a dedicated gameplay guy every day. But we got a Hulk diorama 125 for the statue people. Okay, then there's Genesis Mini 2. Add Sega CD games this time, and it's just $100 at sega.jp. The Dual Sense controller goes for $200, and it has it's upgraded to have mappable button layouts, and the best first party controller on the market right now. Bunch of stuff. Okay, Gamescom 2022. There are 36 studios with games in the wake of Australia's government's plans for a digital game tax offset. And this is where I stopped preparing, and this is where I start just reading and taking too long. But let's do it though. The stress moving on. Santana Mishra, Tim Dawson of Jeff Van Dyke met at Sega Studios Australia working on games in the Total War series. And before I get into that though, the thing about Australia, like my boy some gamer dude was telling me, there's just a lot of taxes you have to pay in Australia. Like the taxation is just crazy. But there's just some kind of tax situation they got going on there to make things not very conducive to a lot of things business-wise. They were in the early stages of their careers, and the AAA cycle was making them antsy. The way we were making games was unhealthy in a lot of ways. People don't get into games to make bad things in unhealthy, physically painful ways, Mishra says. Bandai left first, followed by Dawson. After Mishra was unsuccessful in looking for a new role, they suggested to Dawson that they try something new. I said, why don't we just try our own kind of thing? Because we were young enough and so on that precipice, late 20s, where you can completely fail at life and then maybe still have another chance, Mishra says. In 2013, with very little money behind them, the duo took the plunge at founding an indie studio called Witchbeam, quickly finding they didn't possess all the skills necessary to release their ambitious old friend Jeff Van Dyke's re-entered the picture as Witchbeam's composer and sound designer. All right, skipping around. Cut that. Nah. Right, All right, PAX definitely felt like an indie showcase this year, Mishra says. Instead of funneling consumers toward AAA booths as in previous years, the indies were situated right near the entrance in 2022. What we have here now is an Australian-owned and operated businesses that are not reliant on something sitting in San Francisco doing a mathematical calculation, and that's awesome. All right, difficulties aside, developers in the scene share an overwhelming sense of optimism, whether they're a few games deep or just working on their debut. The watchful eye of the world is welcomed in Australia. In fact, you could say it's invited. All right, some of these looks at these indie games. Top-down shooter looks like. Some kind of furries. Massive monsters. Code of the Lamb. Yeah, I heard that was good. Code of the Lamb. All right, to Interstellar and Beyond. How Kerbal Space Program 2 brings all the stars closer to home. The idea of exploring space and explaining what it is in some form has been with humankind since its beginning. We look to the sun and moon to tell time before we invented clocks. We worship gods among the stars and question Earth's place in the universe for millennia. Still today, space and everything beyond our atmosphere remains a frontier for discovery, ranging from exploratory fascination to outright existentialism. It's no surprise that throughout history, media has explored space using the great unknown to entertain, inform, and terrorize. But with each passing year, our knowledge of that great unknown grows exponentially, met by even more questions about what's above our heads. All right, space program. Last paragraph. Perhaps a futuristic and far-fetched rocket built within KSP2 could become the blueprint for something in the real world in the future. If Fair is right about the two-way street becoming between gaming and space science, it's only a matter of time. And after everything I experienced during this trip, I hope to watch the rocket take off into space during my lifetime. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll do so from within a planetarium full of people who view KSP2 as more than just a game, but something imaginative and inspiring, something that allows us here on Earth to look beyond our galaxy and into the great beyond. All right, some kind of space program video game. All right, Pastis. The creators of The Messenger are putting everything into their classic RPG series, Sea of Stars. When The Messengers was released in 2018, Thierry Boulanger went into its launch with reasonable expectations. He was proud of the game he and the team at Sabotage had made, but he was prepared to consider it a success, even if it didn't sell well. If 100 people bought it, I would have been like, oh my gosh, we hit 3 digits. So for sure, there's at least one person I don't know that bought it. Bollinger says the Messenger sold far more than 100 copies and even took home the Game Awards Best Debut Indie Award alongside many other accolades. With his unique approach to platforming and a fun story twist that allowed it to exist as both an NES and SNES throwback. The Messenger was a hit and quickly allowed Bollinger and Sabotage to pursue its dream project, a large-scale RPG unabashedly inspired by 16-bit greats like Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, and many more. It's been 7 years, and it's still kind of a dream, Bollinger says. Yeah, Chrono Trigger, I just got stuck, I think, in the sewer somewhere. But Mario RPG, I got stuck at Yoshi's races. I can never do that. But I beat that one, though. That was fantastic. Looking to the Sea of Stars. Even before development officially concluded on The Messenger, Sabotage was already thinking about Sea of Stars. Internally, it was seen as the big reward for the potential success of The Messenger, a game the studio still cares about deeply. There's more to be told about that specific arc. Maybe one day, but it's really like, if this works, then we get to make an RPG together. Bollinger says, making an RPG is a tall order. Production is longer, and there are far more moving parts, but Bollinger wanted to take the time The Messenger's success afforded and make the game he had been pondering since he was a child. Story at your discretion. Meeting the Archivist is a strange way to kick off the story, and even stranger when you consider the Archivist and the Grand Archivers are all products of lore established outside of Sea of Stars. On the Sea of Stars Kickstarter page, which raised $1.6 million, you can read about the Archivist's journey from talented alchemist to immortal being to student of forbidden alchemy that led to the creation of the Flashmancer, to timeline destroyer, to eventual obsessive librarian who is trying to repair all they have broken. It's all important storytelling for those who want to be absorbed into Sea of Stars world, but it's also intentionally optional, which extends to all facets of the game storytelling. Okay. Cool looking RPG in the shallow waters with sea creatures. Three-party stuff. The adventure begins. After years of training, your first task is to fully accepting the role of Solstice Warrior with the permission of Elder Mist, a magical floating head made of clouds. Making your way through Elder Mist's trials also showcases Sea of Stars puzzle solving and impressive maneuverability. For all the praise lavished on the games that inspired Sea of Stars, it's fair to define them as linear and straightforward. They prioritize story and combat over the act of getting from point A to B, which is why I was so surprised how much Valere and Zeal can climb and leap across the environment. Sea of Stars is not a platformer, but Valere and Zeal can easily climb ledges, jump over gaps, and even fall from high heights to platforms below that house hidden chests or ingredients for cooking. Okay, cooking is a big part, it looks like. Making music with Chrono Trigger's composer, cool. The lock system is also a way of encouraging you to use every character. Eventually your party will consist of 6 fighters, but only 3 can ever fight in a battle at a time. You will have your favorites, but sometimes the locks can only be broken by the one character you don't often use. There's no turn penalty for calling in a different character in the middle of a fight. There's going to be a time where the best option is to use the character that you've never used, Bollinger says, and then maybe that character grows on you because now this guy felt powerful to use and you got to see that special move that you've yet to try it. Alright, sounds good. Alright, out to sea. I ultimately spent about 8 hours with Sea of Stars from beginning to meeting with what I presume to be the first dweller. Without going into detail, I will say it was there that the game truly felt like it was beginning. The actual plot machinations emerged during that fight, and one of the most positive things I can say is I am upset that I am not going to be able to keep playing. I had the privilege of taking an extended look at the game's early hours, but now I'm stuck waiting months to play more of to see what happens next. Sea of Stars is not the only game to look at the era of 16-bit RPGs for inspiration, but it's the most fun I've had with that genre in many years. And that's what Bollinger and the team at Sabotage want from Sea of Stars players. They want them to be nostalgic for the beloved era of RPGs, but with a contemporary style and gameplay that makes it fun as a modern game can be. None of what we would run on an SNES, right? Bollinger says we want it to be as good as our memory of those games. Alright, nice visuals. 3D gradient, invisible bridge. Right. Alright, 30 indies we can't wait to play. Terra Nil. Terra Nil is a reverse city builder in which you travel to ruined planets and restore their natural ecosystems with a futuristic suite of renewable technologies, excavate the wasteland, scrub toxins from the earth, and introduce wildlife or use hydrologic tech. Terra Nil enables you to cultivate serene landscapes instead of tearing them down. Skate story. Welcome to Hell. Play as a demon skateboarder made out of glass and pain, skating through the underworld. The devil has given you a chance for freedom. You just have to skate to the moon and swallow it, and you shall be freed. Skate Story is easily one of the most visually striking games on the horizon, and we can't wait for its 2023 release. I guess. Lies of P. Our noses would grow if we said we weren't excited about this Souls-like spin on Pinocchio. As the marionette, you battle through Belle Epoque era French city with combat resembling Bloodborne. Lies of P even realizes Pinocchio's penchant for lying. Side quests change depending on how truthful you are. Ah, nice. Sounds like that Meat Canyon Pinocchio cartoon. That one was great. Viewfinder is a first-person adventure about photographing the environment and using metaphysical Polaroids to warp your perspective and solve platforming puzzles. The magic lies in capturing a photo, holding the print to eye level, and converting the 2D image into a 3D model to create new passive solutions. And it's all about approaching problems from a different angle. That is very Inception. That is wild. Gunbrella. That just kills it with the name, Gunbrella. Oh man, that's something else. Have they ever done that, Gunbrella? Yeah, I remember somebody had a Gunbrella. Maybe on maybe on that one game. I can't remember. The Exceed. I forget. Gunbrella, the creators of Gato Roboto, a great Metroid-inspired platformer where you play as a cat. Well, of course, Penguin had a Gunbrella. What am I talking about? Where you play as a cat is back with the game in a noir punk universe where you have a gun that is an umbrella. The gun functions as a weapon, but also assists with platforming, allowing a player to float, hook on the ropes, and defend from overhead attacks. Aftermaze. is a 2D action adventure game with stunning hand-drawn visuals. After an apocalyptic event called The Raising nearly decimates humanity, you play as Renee, a girl who lost her memory as she defends what's left of humanity. With unlockable weapons, skills, and deep RPG customization, you'll battle Goliath to restore peace to Ingarden. Hollow Knight Silksong. Hollow Knight was one of the first indie games inspired by Metroid, but it is one of the best. Its melancholy tone and enjoyable challenge earned it tons of fans, and its sequel has been highly anticipated since its reveal. For part 2, you'll play as Hornet, the princess protector of Hollow Nest. Hyperlight Breaker, not Drifter. Although it's not a direct sequel, Hyperlight Drifter fans should keep an eye on the spiritual follow-up. Hyperlight Breaker shares the same universe and its vivid colors coat fully 3D environments. Players can enjoy this third-person action game alone or with friends in co-op. And Hyperlight Breaker enters PC early access later this year. Haunted Chocolatier. I read something about that before. The Plucky Squire. The debut from all possible features. The Plucky Squire is a game about the Pictures books starring an adventurer named Jot. This game is played within the book's pages until Jot bursts free and becomes a 3D toy. Yeah, gotta zoom in on the pictures though. That first one seems real interesting. The 2D pictures, Polaroids to 3D. Alright, Animal Well. This atmospheric Metroid-inspired puzzle platformer impressed me the moment I picked up the controller. The retro aesthetic looks familiar at first, but the Animal Well takes advantage of modern hardware, creating something more striking than was possible on the consoles it pays homage to. Witchbrook, I read about this before too. Players balance classwork with romance and burgeoning witch, while also partaking in broom races, potion brewing, and mushroom forging. And after graduation, settle in the enchanted town of Montsports as a full-time resident, making a living with your magical skills. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Remember Jet Set Radio? Wish you lived in an alternate timeline where the series continued? Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is your answer. Cel-shaded, focused on graffiti and action sports, and full of over-the-top style, Bomb Rush is either shamelessly ripping off Jet Set or wearing its inspiration loudly and proudly on its sleeve. Maybe both. Either way, we can't wait. Goodbye, Volcano High. Stars Fang, a student and musician finishing their final year of school alongside fellow anthropomorphic dino buddies. The story centers on themes such as coping with the end of an era and the end of facing an uncertain future. Dino Angels. What in the hell? Alright, Pal World. Pal World's elevator pitch of Pokemon with guns guarantees it will turn heads. Set in colorful open world teeming with monsters, you'll be blasting them all. Using modern assault weapons, even your critters can pack heat. Pal World looks too silly to be real, and we can't wait to see how this idea blossoms when it arrives this year. All Blastoise, all day. A Hydro Cannon. Lunark. Inspired by a classic puzzle platformers like Another World and the original Prince of Persia, Lunark is a rotoscoped adventure game where you can help a rebellion fight a totalitarian regime. Jumps must be perfectly measured and timed, and the camera sometimes zooms in for the adventure's impressive animated pixel art vignettes. Okay, looks like a Smash Brothers scene, kinda. Sia, inspired by open world games like Breath of the Wild, Chia tells the story of a girl on a journey to save her father, along with the gliding through the air from any height. Chia can transform into animals. Yeah, I think I read about that one before. She can transform into animals. Undisputed, with no new fight games coming from EA since 2011. What? Developer Steel City Interactive has entered the ring. This boxing sim features photorealistic graphics, solid controls, and a large roster including Muhammad Ali, Canelo Alvarez, Katie Taylor, and Bomb Squad. That is Bomb Squad, ain't it? I think so. The final product will include creative fighter sharing and career mode. If you want to try it out, it's available now on Steam in early access. Hades 2. Super Fight Games' first sequel unfolds sometime after Hades and stars Zangreus' sister, Maloney. This underworld princess battles her way through new, larger locations to defeat the Titan of Time. Alright, El Paso Elsewhere, an underrepresented genre in video games is what if we just made Max Payne? Enter El Paso. Elsewhere, a throwback to the bygone era of third-person shooters where you slow time and dodge around like your John Woo movie. Pepper Grinder. In Pepper Grinder, you carry out a gigantic drill almost as big as you rip through the ground at high speeds. Mugenics. The creator of The Binding of Isaac and Super Meat Boy is back with a project he started work on more than a decade ago. Edmund McMillan describes Mugenics as a combination of Pokemon and Animal Crossing, Final Fantasy Tactics, and Dungeons & Dragons. With that blend of promising hundreds of hours of gameplay, we can't wait to get our hands on this tactical, cat-based roguelike draft sim. Wow, interesting. Alright, Songs of the Forest. Following its successful predecessor, The Forest, Sons of the Forest is an open-world survival horror simulator. Hunt wildlife during the warm months, cook food, build shelters and fortifications, scavenge, and ration supplies. Luna Abyss is you are a prisoner tasked with exploring a hellscape on a distant moon to find forgotten tech, and with the aid of artificial intelligence prison guard named Aelin. While engaging in fast-paced bullet hell combat, you will encounter cosmic horrors as you struggle to maintain your sanity while uncovering the moon's mysteries. Sounds like Dead Space, I guess. Alright, Mina the Hollower. I know I read about her. The creator of Shovel Knight is launching a new franchise with this 8-bit throwback to Game Boy Color style games, albeit with the mechanics and action you'd expect from a modern release. Control Mina as she digs and whips her way through a bevy of foes while exploring a vast world of secrets and gothic storytelling. The retro vibe is strong with this one. Slitterhead, while it's said that Hong Kong director Fruit Chan, famous in the West for directing Dumplings, a movie about eating fetuses. Oh man, that's worse than Caterpillar. No, Centipede. Inspired Slitterhead. You should have known the game was shaping into something unlike anything else. That is also created by the minds behind Silent Hill, Gravity Rush, Siren, and The Last Guardian. Okay, Oxenfree 2, Lost Signals. A direct sequel to the original Oxenfree, Lost Signals features the return of the series' natural dialogue, spooky visuals, and choice-driven narrative. Okay. Steam World Build. The planet is dying, and for civilization to survive, it needs to escape. As if that news wasn't already bad enough, and the key to escaping is buried deep within the underground mine. Earthblade. Details on Earthblade are scarce, but any game from the team behind Celeste and Towerfall has our attention. In this side-scrolling exploration game, you play as Navoa, a purple-horned child of fate returning to Earth. Rah Boom. 4 teenage ninja cheerleaders must take down a malevolent AI in this surprising twist on the classic brawling genre. Characters switch between several 2D lanes to clearly understand who you're targeting with massive upgradable combos. Okay, different 2D lanes. Cool. Yeah, that's got a lot of detail. Alright, Final Fantasy 16 previews. Since the reveal of Final Fantasy 16 in 2020, my questions have continued to grow. Mind you, my questions are firmly planted in the fascination of everything surrounding the game, like how Final Fantasy 16's Studio Creative Business Unit 3 is developing the title with Naoki Yoshida in the producer role, or how former Devil May Cry 5 combat designer Ryoto Suzuki is the game's combat director. Will FF16 feature the storyline prowess of FF15? Will it Will its combat go full stylish action? Okay. The taste of the score I heard was unsurprisingly fantastic, considering it's coming from Final Fantasy XV's composer Masayoshi Soken. The voice acting is also great, although overly medieval British, and the characters and their convictions are enticing. I was least impressed visually, but what I played through was dark and mostly took place in a nondescript castle. Still, if what I played was in an indication, FF16 is looking to shake up the long-running series with exciting new ways. I still have questions, but the first impression is a strong one. By Wesley LeBlanc. Pacific Drive. The reveal of Pacific Drive last year was immediately captivating. I liked what I saw in the first trailer, but what I found especially intriguing was that most of the game happens through a first-person view of someone driving an old station wagon through a beautiful but distraught Pacific Northwest forest. Rarely do driving games force a first-person perspective. Even more rarely do driving games deviate from being a racer. Having not played it, I'm not entirely sold on the experience, as I want to know how it feels to do what I'll be doing most of the game, driving. But if this preview was just a taste of the game's world and systems, which feel inspired and new in the driving genre, Pacific Drive is a trip I'm excited to begin. Okay. Pokemon Snap on Rails. Maneku's Night Market, open for business. Fans of cozy life sims and Japanese culture should keep an eye on Maneko's Night Market. This charming indie stars a young girl named Minako who moves to a small Japanese island suffering a decline. The island has struggled in recent years due to an exodus of residents. The remaining superstitious population worships a cat deity named Abe, and the appearance of cats around the island may signal its presence. On top of that, government agents have encroached upon the island for unknown reasons, and Minako takes it upon herself to get to the bottom of these mysteries while earning a pretty penny selling items at the night market. Interesting. WWE 2K23. WWE 2K23 rides the positive momentum of its predecessor and the Triple H-led resurgence of quality in WWE TV. Here's hoping that engenders an equally entertaining product when fans step into the ring on March 17th. That's me. So they just had, I guess, WrestleMania the other week. That was a big deal. Saw some pictures of, oh boy, Jake Paul. And I think his, Prime Energy mascot got some kind of slam done to him. All right, but Planet of Lana, a beautiful, if familiar world of moments full of high-speed chases and other biomes looking more engaging than this sleepy swamp I see in the demo. I sure hope so, because as I watch, each small puzzle looks more the same. Solve a mindless puzzle, swing across a small chasm, find a way to get Mui across water, rinse and repeat. The developer says it's a lot of variety and an epic adventure for the player, but at least in this showing, I'm not sure I've seen what they're talking about. We'll see. I'm still looking for something particularly exciting to draw me in. Planet of Lana will be released at some point this year, Xbox consoles and PC. Meet Your Maker. Meet Your Maker is advertised as a bleak, decaying world of people scrambling for survival, but its actual gameplay experience feels much different. The dreary exterior disguises a product encouraging player-driven creativity and innovation. The experience will only improve as they add new traps, guards, and weapons, and I can't wait to see how it lives up to its potential. Okay, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. In Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the largely solitary journey is punctuated with battles against one of the most fearsome and intimidating forms of Ganon ever seen. Calamity Ganon was ugly, powerful, and unique in how the battle played out. While Dark Beast Ganon served as an excellent victory lap with Hyrule Castle as the backdrop, Through Calamity, though Calamity Ganon is memorable for a myriad reasons, he didn't deliver much in the way of character. With The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, that appears to be one of the many areas where this long-awaited sequel deviates from its predecessor. As our latest look at Tears of the Kingdom kicks off, new flying enemies circle a dark and stormy Hyrule field, and mysterious glyphs and towers with strange spotlights shining from the ground illuminate the rocky landscape, hinting at new enigmas within this seemingly infinite explorable version of Hyrule. Bokoblins and Lizzle flows work in and patrol what appears to be some kind of cavern, and again teasing an expanded underground network from what we saw in Breath of the Wild. Alright, last paragraph. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom somehow feels bigger in every way compared to its predecessor, Breath of the Wild. That's no small feat considering how massive the Switch launch title was. However, if Tears of the Kingdom can successfully implement the various improvements and new mechanics it's hinting at, all while weaving in compelling narrative of Ganondorf attempting to conquer Hyrule once again, then Nintendo could be well on its way to delivering a worthy sequel to one of the greatest video games ever released. Wow. Looks like Eco, but Zelda does look like Eco. Eco looks like Zelda. Crime Boss, Rockay City. During the Game Awards 2022, a show that was full of surprise unveilings, Crime Boss Rockay stood out as one of the stranger, more unexpected reveals. The trailer of the game showed Florida in the 90s and then proceeded to introduce in-game appearances from actors like Michael Marsden, Kim Basinger, Damien Poitier, Danny Trejo, Danny Glover, Michael Rooker, Vanilla Ice, and Chuck Norris, who were all lip-syncing to the trailer's song Connected by Stereo MCs. Well, it will be strange to see how those actors work in the game and how large their roles ultimately are. When asked if there is anyone who hasn't been revealed yet that might be a surprise, Kohler offered no hints. Just wait to see for yourself. Kohler says we are always thinking of ideas on how to implement more celebrities into the world of Crime Boss. All right, let's get one of the middle paragraphs. Okay, the story is a crime fantasy narrative, but the punishment for failure is going to be harsh. And according to Kohler, crime will not pay in Rockay City if you're not careful. There are no checkpoints or saves. Permadeath is real. If Sheriff Chuck Norris, you mean Walker, Texas Ranger, catches you, that's it. Losing any criminal from the crew is painful, but not critical. But losing the life of the boss in the end is the end of the story. Wow, permadeath. Okay, Forza Motorsport. While we've yet to get our hands on this Forza Motorsport is shaping up to be a technical showcase for Xbox Series X, S, and high-end PCs. If the footage we've seen to this point is to be believed, this could very well carry on to be the series tradition of being one of the best looking games on the market. Players can expect to slide into the driver's seat and compete in an all-new online racing mode and single-player career mode when Forza Motorsports arrives later this year. Okay. Octopath Traveler 2. I got mine still sitting in the plastic, man. I just do not play video games. In an age where remakes and retro-inspired projects try recreating what classic games of old felt like, Octopath Traveler accomplishes something impressive. Despite being rooted in modern design with a host of conveniences, it effortlessly captures the spirit, style, and sense of adventure of the best RPGs from the SNES era, while still innovating and showing there's life in turn-based battlers. Yet, the feat is even more remarkable considering Octopath 2's most significant changes are small and subtle. Alright, Square Enix's HD 2D visual style has grown as a medium and the evidence is demonstrated through the game's highly detailed environments and layers of interest. It's literally on display, as well as the filter that blurred anything not immediately around you is thankfully gone. The result of all this is a gorgeous, rich world that's truly a joy to explore. Octopath Traveler 2 does what an excellent sequel should. Instead of breaking new ground left and right, it improves on the original in nearly every way and feels more confident about the stories it tells. There's still room for improvement in some of its stiffer areas, but Octopath 2 is a sterling achievement all around. Got an 8.5. Yeah, those are some nice 2D graphics. Alright, Hogwarts Legacy got a 9. Do not tell the activists. I encountered several minor technical issues over the course of the lengthy playthrough, such as pop-in while moving fast or long door opening loads. And some of the game systems are more successful than others. A flood of useless, low-quality gear rewards in one notable, if minor, problem that sometimes stalls the fun. But for those who have long wished for a rich, interactive playground to live out your own Harry Potter fantasy, Hogwarts Legacy cast an incredibly mesmerizing spell. Got a 9. And Atomic Heart, 7.75. They benefit a lot from TNA. And on the other hand, Atomic Heart is a good game on its own merits. The fun and frantic gunplay, outstanding visual design, and intricate level of detail in this world amount to an experience worth your time. On the other hand, it could have been so much more. The story and characters simply don't do justice to the game's thought-provoking premise. I think it's if the Soviet Union won the Cold War or something like that. The story and characters simply don't do justice to the game's thought-provoking premise, and better writing would have done wonders. Despite that, Atomic Heart is still an exciting and memorable first outing for Mundfish. All right, let's just read it. After more than a half of decade in development, Atomic Heart has arrived as the first title from developer Mundfish. This Bioshock-inspired shooter is an impressive debut in many ways, as it wears its influences on its sleeves, for better or worse. The game's dazzling world design, extraordinary production values, and fast-paced fights make for a solid campaign, but the derivative plot and often painful writing insist in dragging it down. Okay, 7.75. Like a Dragon, Ishin, 8.25, a step back in time. Like a Dragon, Ishin is an awesome spinoff and one I'm glad finally to come to the States, even if it tripped on the landing. The story kept me gripped, and I hope some of the new combat styles make their way to other RGZ games. I would also hope we'll get the other spinoffs that never made their way over. Time will tell, but for now, it's a nice to be back with my favorite criminals. Okay. It's a predecessor. It's a sequel type thing to 2014's Ryu Ga Gotoku Ishin, and released in only Japan and on PS3 and 4. Okay, Metroid Prime Remastered, 9.25. Metroid Prime has long been considered one of the crowning achievements of Nintendo's GameCube library. The series seamlessly transitions the first-person genre, was defined by its frantic action, massively explorable environments, clever puzzles, and daunting boss encounters. However, the subsequent 2 decades have worn on the first releases. But much like Samus, by the end of the game, Metroid Prime Remastered brings the title back to full power. Metroid Prime Remastered is more than meets the eye, serving as a testament to how spectacular and timeless the original design was. The visual and performance improvements go a long way in making it more approachable, but paramount to those upgrades in the fact that it controls as well as nearly any other shooter on the Switch to this day. Metroid Prime was a masterpiece in 2002, and that assessment still rings true in 2023. Nice. And Horizon Call of the Mountain. The smaller parts of the game, fighting robots, making items, and looking around are highlights. Pulling yourself up from the mountain, is not. And that's where you'll spend the most of the pretty much 6-hour experience. That's PS2 VR, 6.75. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, 8.75. Is an enhanced remastered of a 12-year-old Wii game, but it effectively brings forward one of the Pink Puffball's best outings, complete with the meaningful additions. Wild Hearts got an 8. A stronger story would have been welcome, and the camera leaves much to be desired, but Wild Hearts is a deeply engaging experience, even with these faults. SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake, got a 7. It's a game I recommend to fans of SpongeBob SquarePants with ease. For those looking for a great platform, though, better options lie elsewhere in the sea. Hi-Fi Rush finds a magical sweet spot between rhythm games, stylish action, and lighthearted character-driven platformers we don't see very, very often anymore. And by every measure, it comes out on top. 8.75 on X, S, and PC. Colossal Cave got an 8. Isn't for everybody, but it's like a slow and meticulously designed theme park ride, all built around an old text adventure game, making for a fascinating experience. Got an 8 on XS, VR2, 4, 1, and Switch and PC. Alright, the age of nostalgia. It's 2023, and we're deep in the age of remakes and remasters. From Suikoden revivals to big budget remakes of Final Fantasy VII and Silent Hill 2, and endlessly re-releases of Skyrim, gaming is obsessed with its legacy. We've even got remasters of remakes like 2015's Resident Evil HD remaster, and a multi-console remaster of the 2002 GameCube remake of Resident Evil. And let's not even talk about the Street Fighters. Now, instead, picture this. It's 1996 and you're deep into a Saturday night of gaming. You smell your Snapple as you leap from your beanbag chair. You finally defeated Melania, Blade of Maquila in Elden Ring. Hearts pounding, you're exhausted, you save, power down your SNES and TV. The glow of the CRT winks as your Game Boy flicks on and you wind down with a little Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Welcome to the age of D-Makes. D-Make. New console generations push visuals and technical prowess, games are marching out of the uncanny valley and reaching stylized heights that match the efforts of Hollywood. Gaming is obsessed with bigger, prettier, and faster. But at the same time, there are millions of fans reaching middle age, and just like their parents did when they rebought their vinyl album collections in 2001, they're looking to recapture childhood nostalgia. Remakes are a popular way to let modern gamers revisit classics. They take something old and make it new again. Nostalgia arrives with a new coat of paint and a revved up engine under the hood. So what the heck is a D-Make? It's simple, says Luke from England, who's better known by his online handle, 2-Bit Crook. A D-Make is an old and a remake is new. Remakes are typically large affairs. He elaborates, what would developers at the time have made if they'd had ample resources, unlimited time, and no limit on technology. But for 2-Bit Crook, who runs Game Boy D-Makes, it's more interesting to ask, what would a game look like if it hurtled through time to a system which can display only 4 colors on a tiny screen? Perhaps the most visible example of an official D-Make is Blizzard's World of Warcraft Classic, launched in 2019. Classic brought players back to the past with a faithful recreation of 2004's original World of Warcraft, complete with all the tedium of a genre, figuring out how to let millions of players adventure together. Classic presented an opportunity for longtime players to test the theory that the good old days really were as great as they remembered. All right, coming up on 50 minutes. Yeah, let's read this out, kinda, and then let's all go. Fan dominance from the studio in the Netherlands. Niels Cooper and Niels Beeks, who together form 64 Bits, are known for their remakes of games like The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Mass Effect, and Elden Ring. The appeal is mostly nostalgia, says Cooper. All right, so Kirby and the Forgotten Land that they were talking about. Okay. Bloodstains, Ritual of the Night, Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door. Okay. As a gamer entering his 40s, I enjoy playing older games to not only experience them with 20 years of context, allowing me to appreciate their impact on gaming history, but also for that hit of nostalgia. I love being swept back to the glow of the CRT and the latest SNES game making its rounds through my friends. Beaks wants to bottle up that feeling to help viewers revisit an immersive je ne sais quoi of playing games on their living room tube TV, a feeling lost on a lot of younger fans. So 64 Bits Elden Ring remake video intentionally mimics the look of a SNES game on an old Trinitron TV, complete with scan lines and a phosphor glow effect. I remember the smell, Beaks says with a hint of wistfulness, the smell of static electricity. Yeah, that's wild classic. Yeah. Okay, Bombing Run, Mission 64. He couldn't replicate that smell or the feel of the hair on your arm raising as you brush past the TV, but the rest was possible. Adding an era appropriateness for older fans and for younger fans, a glimpse at how far we've come over the past couple of decades. Remakes like those from Walther, 2-Bit Crook, and 64 Bits provide a window into an alternate universe where technology stagnated, but games continue to push the creative boundaries of familiar hardware. Gotta demake them all. Demakes have been shared online for years now, with creators like 98 Demake popularizing the concept of viral videos like 2017's If The Last of Us was made in 1998. As fan interest has increased, we've seen demakes of many titles, including 64 Bits Paper Mario style Zelda compilation and 2-Bit Crook's Kirby and the Forgotten Land. But with so many great games out there, how do creators choose which game to tackle? It's a little different each time, they all say. Okay. All right, last paragraph. Last couple paragraphs. 2-Bit Crook admits he dreams of a day when big publishers recognize there's a market for retro experiences, but stresses it's still just a dream. Remaking and rebooting games is a valid option, he says, but if they wanted to give their IPs to hobbyist devs to demake, something to cut their teeth on without worrying about designing an entire game from scratch, then who knows. As video games continue to mature, they're going to have an even larger and more widely respected legacy to draw on, with games like the World of Warcraft Classic and Dragon Quest XI's, echoes of an elusive age, proving the market for official big budget remakes and growing interest from fans. It feels like we're only scratching the surface of the movement's potential. And thanks to direct to creator platforms like Patreon and open source tools, grassroots efforts like those from Walther, 2-Bit Crook, and 64 Bits have thrived in a way that wouldn't have been possible a decade ago. So grab your rose-colored glasses, slide into some neon spandex, and pop that power button on your CRT, because the journey's only getting started. On Bloodborne PlayStation? Okay, but what about copyright? That's a great question, especially since Nintendo is notorious for DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Takedowns are popular YouTube content using copyrighted material. So how do these creators navigate the complex balance of respecting copyright and practicing fair use? We did actually get a copyright takedown from the Pokemon Company for Detective Pikachu Noir, says Neil Beeks, who makes up one half of 64 Bits, an animation studio known for demake videos, which broke us because it was a 9 months of work, but luckily we appealed, and 1 month later we got it back. 64 Bits basic approach is simple. We don't make it into a game, it's just a video pretending to be it. By focusing on a different format and unique art while also avoiding logos and specific game names, 64 Bits toes the line between celebration and legally questionable infringement. Outside of Nintendo and Pokemon, some game creators are honored by the celebration of their work. Beak says, for example, Santa Monica Studios and director Cory Barlog tweeted about how awesome our PS1 remake of God of War was. PS1 God of War. Nice. Alright, spring and summer gaming, Star Wars stuff. Alright, under an hour. Hopefully next month I'll make it about 20-30 minutes. We'll see though. Alright, Folio Games, like, comment, subscribe. Workaholics. I passed the mic to Anders. He passed the mic back. I passed the mic to Blake. He passes the mic back. I passed the mic to Blake. He passes the mic back to Mike. All right, yeah. Peace.